Good morning, it's me, Millicent Ginger, on a frosty Monday morning. Been an interesting weekend. I'm sorry I didn't do any daily videos on, I think it was Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But here we go, I'm doing one today. My car is acting up. The transmission is going, and that's unfortunate. I should probably have taken my Firebird this morning, but because I had the back loaded up with recycling I had to take to the dump, I decided to take this car instead. But the little overdrive button is flashing, which is never good. And I am super late for work because my wife ran down and was like, "Oh, will you let me take a shower?" And I said, "Yes, dear," which is one of my problems in life. It's like I want to make my wife happy and do things for her, but the problem is sometimes I agree to do things that screw me over. And then I kind of like resent her for it, which isn't really fair for her because I should have just said no. I should have just been like, "No, I'm too busy. You'll have to do it later." Anyway, do you know, that's a very good life lesson, is that half the time, half of your the reason you're annoyed and your resentment of other people could quite happily be mitigated if you just manage to get the stones to be able to say no to people. Saying no is a very powerful thing. My problem is I have it ingrained in my head. I'm so eager to please that I always want to make people happy. So I always agree and say yes to things, even if they really put me out, which is not great. Anyway, my big excitement over the weekend, I guess you could say, was last night. So it was around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it's gone from being freezing. Last night it was like 40 degrees. It was beautiful. So my wife had the window open. We were just getting ready for bed. And I heard a noise like a car door slamming. So I walked over to the window and I looked out of the window down into the front yard, and somebody had been going through my truck, this truck here, and they were walking off. So I threw my clothes on and I ran after them and managed to catch them going around the back of some buildings. So I called the police and they had 3 cop cars come zooming out. And American cops are really dramatic if you've never seen that. I mean, like, they have these big Dodge Chargers with these huge rumbling V8 engines, and they arrive with their guns in their hips and stuff like that. So, yeah, somebody had broken into my car, which is my fault because I hadn't locked it. And they had stolen 2 Christmas presents that I bought for my wife. Fortunately, they noticed that I was chasing them, and so they dropped the Christmas presents, and the police managed to get them back. So, fortunately, it looks like nothing bad or untoward happened. We didn't lose anything, but it was dramatic. And my wife's actually kind of impressed that I chased after the bad guys. I mean, it was more just to see where they were going. I wasn't exactly going to confront them. I think it's funny. I think in the back of your head, you're always like, "Yeah, I would have confronted them and beaten them up." But anyway, I didn't. But that was my big drama. So we had the police cars and filled in a police report and stuff like that. It's upsetting because we just moved to this house, and you know, we lived in our last house in a really ropey part of town for nearly 10 years. And aside from once we had some bicycles get stolen, and once we had someone try and break into the downstairs apartment, but apart from that, never had any problem. And don't tell my wife, I never locked my car, ever. And nothing ever got stolen from it. So it's kind of annoying that we come to like a really nice neighborhood in like an organized community, and we have someone try and break into our car. Meh. But it is the season for it, and obviously they were just opportunistic thieves. So they looked through the window of my car, and I had completely forgotten that I had 2 gifts in the footwell there for Tina, and so they just thought they'd steal them, which sucks. Really does suck, though, that people do stuff like that. I mean, what kind of degenerate must you be to think, "Hey, I'm just going to steal other people's shit"? And I mean, I don't know, part of like my Protestant Christian upbringing, I'm always thinking, "Oh, but what is their story? Perhaps they're poor and starving, and they need these things more than me." And it's like, maybe that's true, or maybe they're just dirtbags. Maybe they're just dirtbags who are like, "Hey, I'll wander around, see if there's anything there that I can steal." Honestly, the joke is on them, though. Like, these dirtbags would have stolen 2 gifts, one of which was a recipe book for 300 vegan recipes. So, like, good luck with that. I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, no harm, no foul. It's kind of interesting. My wife, like, responded very positively to the fact that I chased after these bad guys. I didn't really think of it. I just did it. But it's funny how women and men are hardwired to, like, respond to certain things. So, like, by me chasing after these bad guys, I was being all big and strong and alpha male, and she was like, ooh. And it's funny, I'm reading a book, actually I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment called Why Women Have Sex, which is really interesting because it goes into all of the thought process behind why women have sex with people. And it's so interesting because so little of it is, like, consciously thought out. So much of it is driven by evolution and society and programming, and it's almost kind of scary when you start looking into the psychology of things and you realize how little, like, conscious thought we put into the things we do. So I'm all into this thing called the law of attraction, as I'm always going on about, and one of the things that they go on, one of the tenets, is something called deliberate intent. And deliberate intent is when you decide what you want to do and you do it. And it's a very powerful thing, and I think maybe that's one of the secrets. Like, so with the law of attraction, there are some people who think it's like this hokey magic thing and think it's ridiculous, and there are some people who think that it's like a real physical thing. I think an awful lot of it is just about the thought process and the mental state you're in, and about, you know, deliberate intent. If you deliberately think and plan and do things, then things happen for you. And there's no mysticism or magic involved. It's just a different and more efficient way of thinking. And I think that's very true when you look at it this way. So many of us run through our lives on autopilot, and we just do what society programmed and our parents programmed and religion programmed us to do. And yeah, the people who actually use deliberate intent and who actually decide to do things for themselves for their own reasons, for us, it's like they are using witchcraft or magic powers or something like that. So, anyway, I will wrap this up because this has been quite a long video. All I can say is people suck if they're going to steal your shit. It's very important to say no, because otherwise you agree to do things for people and then you end up resenting them for it. And the most powerful force that the human being has at their disposal is deliberate intent. So don't just go through life on autopilot. Actually think about what you want and make deliberate actions to make it happen. So that's my little video for today. Thank you very much for listening to my rambling diatribe. I'm going to go to work and have some coffee and fix my car and all sorts of exciting things like that. And I will speak to you tomorrow. Bye.